everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the brand new Commissar model, sent to me early by Games Workshop to build up and paint for all of you, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. I really like this guy, it's full of character, it's very understated and very menacing, and to that end we've painted him, or primed him I should say, in grey Seer, because we want him to be a little bit colder than the rest of our Astra Militarum, because we want him to just be that little bit more sinister. And the place we're going to start on is his coat. Now the colour we're going to be making is a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Cygor Brown and Black Templar, and we're going to be applying this all over the top of his coat. Now this is going to just kind of not include the kind of this top bit here around his neck, the collar. So we're just going to pick a place to start. I'm going to start just there. Now he does have a bit of a gold banding on the coat, but it's all right, we can cover over that now. Don't have to worry about getting that spot on just yet. For now, we're just going to get this all over the top of his greatcoat, like this, using these big broad brush strokes, making sure we don't have too much on our brush. So with that Cygor Brown and Black Templar mix applied, we have actually applied it to the outside of the collar, but not to the inside. I should have clarified that in the last bit. And we've not applied it over the top of his cuffs, because most of them are metallic, but the inner bits are going to be the same colour as the inside of the collar. And that is going to be a roughly 2-to-1 mix of Flesh Tearers Red and Cygor Brown. Still sticking with Flesh Tearers Red just for the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red on our brush, and we're going to apply this over the top of his hat. But it's going to be around the kind of middle band of the hat. So with that Flesh Tearers Red applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of our Commissar's boots, the casing on his bolt pistol, and the brim, and the top of his hat, as well as the tiny bit of his undershirt that you can see around his neck. There's a really tiny little bit just in here. So with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of all of his remaining leather details. So this is his pouches and his belt. So with that Wyldwood all applied, what we're then going to do is take some Fyreslayer Flesh and we're going to apply this over the top of his face and his hands. So with that Fyreslayer Flesh applied to his face and hands, what we're then going to do is take some thinned down Iron Warriors and we're going to apply this over, well, pretty much all of his remaining details. So we've got bits of his armour, like this. Got the remaining details on the bolt pistol. Got the power sword. Got his belt buckle. And so on and so forth. So with all of that Iron Warriors applied all the way around, what we're now going to do is we're going to finish off the base coats by taking some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to be applying this over the top of all of his decorative elements. So we've got areas such as the Aquila on his chest. We've got the hilt of a sword. We've got the rim of his hat. The trim of his armour. The trim of his coat. And I think that's about it. It's got a lot of fancy details. So with that now done, all of our base coats are now on our Commissar, so it's time to add a shade. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to take some Nuln Oil. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the silver and all of the gold. And so with that Nuln Oil all applied, we're then going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade and we're going to apply this over the large black details. So this includes the top of his hat, his boots, and the bolt pistol casing. And so with that Drakenhof Nightshade applied, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. We're going to apply this over the top of the Aquila on his chest. Just add a little bit of extra colour in there over the top of the Nuln Oil, like that. And we're going to apply it over his face as well. Like that. We apply it over the Aquila on the hat too, like that. So with that Reikland Fleshshade applied, our Commissar is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. He's looking pretty awesome. He's a little bit wet in places, but that's because he's still drying, but that's exactly what I want because, well, I'm going pretty quickly here. And, well, it's now time to take him to the next level. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on the coat. Now, when you look at the box art, you'll notice that it's definitely got brown elements towards the main body of the coat, but there's actually quite a lot of black going on there. So this is what we're going to try and replicate now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts contrast medium to 1 part black Templar mix. I'm going to be doing a little bit of blending here. So the first thing we're going to do with this mix is we're going to apply this over the top of the top part of his coat. Just like that. Then on the bottom half of his coat, what we're going to do is we're going to effectively do a little bit of blending out to the bottom. So we're going to start up here and we're just going to apply this black Templar all over. And I'm going to do this entire kind of front facing section until we get underneath the bolt pistol like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, and with a clean dry brush we're then just going to lift off the black Templar towards the bottom, about halfway. So with that black Templar and contrast medium mix applied, you should start seeing a really nice kind of element of black in there, which looks really cool. So what we're going to do now is going to add some highlights, and we're going to start off by using some thinned down Dark Reaper, and we're going to use this to highlight all of the black details, including the coat. But on the coat, what we're going to do is we're going to, on this bottom section here, is we're going to apply the Dark Reaper about 3/4 of the way. So we want it to come into the brown, but we don't want it to go all the way. So with that Dark Reaper all applied, what we're now going to do is take some Russ Grey. I'm going to add some slightly narrower highlights over the top of our Dark Reaper. So with that all done, what we then do is we take some thinned down Baneblade Brown. We apply this towards the bottom of the coat, like that. We will go all the way around, but what we also do is just take it up onto the coat itself just a little bit. And so with that Baneblade Brown applied, we then take a little bit of Karak Stone and we add this at the sharpest points. Just like that. So with that done, the coat is now finished. So what we're going to do is move on, and we're going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher, and we're going to use this to do two different things. So firstly, what we're going to do is on his flat armor panels is we're going to use this to relayer. Just like that sort of thing. Additionally, when it comes to things like the bolt pistol, we're going to use this Leadbelcher to highlight it. Like that. However, the exception is the sword. So what we're going to do is we're going to effectively do a relayer just like with the armour. Just like this. Just avoiding the shade towards the tip. So with that Leadbelcher applied, what we then do is we take some thinned down Ironbreaker, and we're going to use this to highlight all the silver that we've just relayered. So the sword blade and the armour. So with that done, what we're then going to do is take a tiny little amount of Gore-Grunta Fur. We're going to apply this over the top of the Wyldwood, but just kind of over the tops of the kind of flat areas, leaving our Wyldwood highlight. Just nestling there on the edge. So with that done, what we're then going to do is take some Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all the gold details. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is work on the face. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Kislev Flesh and Flayed One Flesh. And we're going to effectively use this to relayer all of his skin. We are just going to avoid, of course, all the recesses where possible. And so with that done, we then take Flayed One Flesh on its own, and we pick out the sharpest features. So this is like the tip and bridge of his nose, his cheekbones, tips of his ears, his knuckles. Just like that. So with that Flayed One Flesh spot highlight applied, we then take a really diddy amount of Black Legion and we apply this over the top of his eyeballs. So with that Black Legion applied, we then take a really tiny little diddy amount of Screaming Skull. We're going to apply this in each corner of the eyes. So with that done, there is just one last thing left to do on our Commissar, and that is to take some Frostheart. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the power nodes on the sword. So we're just going to apply the Frostheart. Like that, bring it onto the blade just a little bit. We're going to wash the brush. And then we're just going to smooth out that transition with a clean, dry brush. Well, clean, damp brush. So with that Frostheart applied to both, what we then do is take a little bit of blue horror. We just apply this on the node, like that. And we apply a little bit to the power cable. Just like that. So with that done, all that remains is the base, and well, you can do this any way that you like, but I'm just going to do it in the same style as the rest of my Cadians. And I'm going to use 2 colours before I use the rest of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Basilicanum Grey. I'm going to apply this over the top of all the solid rocks. So with that Basilicanum Grey applied, I then take Gore-Grunta Fur. And I apply this over the top of all the soil. Not the silver. There is no silver, apart from on him. And that would just ruin the model. And with that done, we then take some Armageddon Dust and apply this to all of the negative space, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now because of the Gore-Grunta Fur. But that's just the first coat of Gore-Grunta Fur. How do you know there isn't a second one? So with that Armageddon Dust now dry, what we then do is take some Gore-Grunta Fur once again, and we apply this over the top of all the Armageddon Dust. We apply it over the top of the previous layer of Gore-Grunta Fur. We just avoid the rocks. So with that all done, what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush the entirety of the base using some Tyrant Skull.
So after adding a couple of tufts and finishing off the rim of the base with Steel Legion Drab, our Commissar is now finished. And I really like him. I think he's a really cool little model, and I really like that coat. I know a lot of you have been asking me how I would do it, so here it is. This is how I would do it, and I think it's really effective. It's a really cool little model, very imperious when it stands above, just ever so slightly the rest of the Cadians. It's quite sinister, at least for the Cadians. They're not particularly friendly after all, given as he's got a tendency to shoot them if they try and run away. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/Warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.